Kanban is used a lot in inventory management, but it's not going to set any limits or order quantities or so for you. So how is it part of management then? Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel where we talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And today's video is about Kanban and its role in inventory management. And the basic premise for this video is that Kanban is not defining any of the rules of your inventory management. So you can basically have the same inventory management without Kanban, and it will not by itself give you higher or lower stock levels. And that's also something to understand. It is a powerful tool that you can use in your practical inventory management, and it really is a part of that, but it will not do so much with the cost or the stock levels or how you influence that part of the organization. Now, first off, and I think the most important part here also is to understand that Kanban is it's a signal, it's a card. And when we take the more traditional Kanban type, which is to put a Kanban card, which in Japanese would be a card, on each of the units in your warehouse, and as soon as you use them, you drive them over to production, or at least you open up the box or you use the items, or whatever point you agree is going to be the final part where you remove the Kanban card from this product and you put it into a stock management board. And here you see two of my stock units have been taken and their cards are over here. And in this system that I have, there are always going to be 9 Kanban cards. And what you also see here, and this is why many people think that Kanban is also determining your minimum maximum stock levels, you see that when there are 1 to 4 pallets missing, nothing's really happening, and with the 5th we're gonna gently place an order, and then when we get to 7 we're gonna expedite that order. We're gonna call our supplier and say we need this as soon as possible. And in general, we assume that we never get to 7. We'll get there, once or twice a year, maybe, that we have something like that. And generally, the yellow zone will be enough to replenish it, not run around too much, get new stuff in, and always have this inventory process going. But this here, the green, yellow, red, that by itself it's not the Kanban. That is actually a predetermined how many units of stock are we going to keep on site, and those calculations can also be made by most other inventory management systems. And that is where I think the discussion comes from. Is Kanban really dropping your inventory? No, not per se, but it's making it a lot more visual. And what you will see in general when implementing Kanban is that you start off with a whole bunch of cards, and cards means a whole bunch of also stock units that you put in your warehouse. And when you see that it's always just flowing, and this whole system replenishes as nicely, and in the end you're basically always using 6 of those places, and the top 3 haven't been touched for months, then at some point you're going to reduce all of these levels. So you're going to take a number of, for instance, 3 cards out of your system. You're going to hide them. They will not trigger any resupplies. And you're also going to change your green, orange, red levels a bit to get this change back in. And the whole inventory level drops. But then it's not the card by itself, but careful consideration of what happens. And when you see that you have this iron stock that is always in your factory and it's never dropped, and it's basically higher than the safety stock that you would like to keep, you can drop your stock levels. Now another, sort of a typical Kanban way is the 2-bin Kanban. I really love this system for its simplicity. This is not a very sophisticated way to manage your inventory, but I think that is exactly what makes it powerful. It is a dead simple way to manage your inventory. In fact, it is so simple that it doesn't really require any thinking. It just requires easy visual cues and action to replenish stuff, and that means that it's a lot simpler for your organization. Especially this system very often will not reduce your inventory levels per se. It will just reduce all the complexity. Now, what is it? A 2-bin Kanban. What it basically means is we have 2 bins, which could be 2 boxes that just belong to this product or this ingredient, which would be the easiest. And in each of these boxes, in my example, there are 6 cylinders of cylinders of ink that we use in our spraying process. And we open a box and we just take out these product cylinders. At some point, and you see here there are still 3 left, so we have a full box and a box that's half empty. We don't order anything, but as soon as we take out the last one, we also remove the whole box. And then we open the left box, we continue. We still have 6 here, but we're missing a box here. So we're missing one of the 2 bins. And when that bin is empty or gone, that is the trigger. So that's why, again, it's a Kanban. It's the signal that you need to order one box. And this depends a little bit. You do, of course, here need box sizes that you will never use a full box within the lead time of replenishment. Otherwise, the system will not work. In fact, what you often see with this is that the lead time to get a new box is really a lot shorter. The lead time is 1 or 2 of these canisters. That's it. So 1/3, 1/2 of using a box, because that gives you plenty of safety, which in fact means that you're usually keeping a bit more stock than when you would absolutely time it to perfection and say, I'm gonna call stock when I take out the 4th out of this box, because then I will probably get a new box exactly at the moment that I take out the last. In practice, what this will do is that if you have not taken out the last one, you cannot put the new box here because it doesn't fit. So in practice, you will anyway need 2 places with the size of a full box, probably, or you put a box and the other one on top. It's going to make a mess. So either you're going to make a mess or you just already used it. Now, if you used it just now and it's still in production, no problem. But if you're frequently indeed already using the last one, well, you will feel it already. There is a big chance that they would have wanted a new one already, but it comes in tomorrow. So that's an out of stock on this. And then also, if it is linked to the 4th or the 5th, but you cannot really see it easily in the box, and how do you put it in? There is no easy way to put a Kanban card in there or things like that. That is just asking for a mess in your inventory management. It can work. There are systems that do this in a good way, but it requires a lot more work. While if you have a full box of screws and an extra sort of box where you just dump the full box, and that's where you can take the screws. And every time you see, oh, the full box is missing, I need to order a new full box of screws. So these are low value items that will probably be replenished way before this small supply of the screws, when you just put the full box in there, is going to run out. But they are low value, so you are really targeting on ease of use. And the signal here is the box itself. It's a Kanban. The bin is a Kanban. And in the very, very traditional 2-bin Kanban system, you will have dedicated bins that someone fills, which, to be honest, I think is a waste by itself. But you have dedicated bins. The bin itself is the Kanban card, the Kanban bin. When it's empty, it gets sent back to your logistics department. They will see the tag that's on there. They'll say, okay, we have to order this right now. And this is either from your central warehouse, it gets ordered into the production environment. So you sort of combine. For the central warehouse, you do more stock units. And for small production cells, you use a 2-bin. Or it is even a direct trigger, because there's only one of these places in your factory and you immediately order a new box. And then those bins, they will really have the card printed on them and they will get back to logistics, and it's the signal. When you do it with the original packaging, you do need some way of going through your production and seeing, hey, the box is missing, I need to replenish it. But this can be done, and check out my bit older video on milk runs, for instance. This can be done by just going around the factory and replacing stuff when needed. It can also be done by having an extra instruction on the box saying, as soon as you open me, so put it over where it should be opened. When you open me, call logistics or send a small email or put this Kanban card. We can also put a card here. Put this Kanban card into an order box, and then we are really back into the Kanban way of handling things. But also this one here. So why was I talking about you can do it also on a specific roll or canister in here within the box? Because if you use this in double or 3 times the lead time that it takes you to put a new box in place, then it means that when you always just put a new box there, as soon as you open one, you're basically pumping up your stock. You will have a fixed stock of 1 whole box plus about half a box. That's your maximum, and your minimum will be a whole box. So you're basically putting about a box of fixed stock there, which is a lot. And it's very easy to see that a full box, a full bin of fixed stock, of iron stock, that is a waste, right? So let's go to a more lean system and not have this here and put it on one of the last ones, and then we minimize the stock level. Now, this is a way of stock optimization thinking. It can work for specific places, especially if there's a really long usage time on one of those boxes. It might really be worth it. You just unpack it and do it per cylinder that's in there, but you make a much more difficult system. That means that this 2-bin Kanban, this signal that you can make as an actual Kanban card or just by having the 2 bins, or this signal where you are moving the Kanban cards to a tracker board, they do not determine your stock levels. Well, they in practice will determine your stock levels, but they are not, Kanban is not the way that you determine whether you should have 2 boxes or 3 or 9 here, and whether you should reorder from 5 or already from 3. Those are decisions that you make based on consumption patterns. So you have your average demand, you have the spread in your demand, and from that you make a safety stock, your lead times, and you put this into your calculation, into your thinking about how much inventory can we use. Of course, the practical Kanban way that I described, where you just take sort of the current maximum, put it in place, and then start tracking it very strongly with the board and writing down the number of pallets that were always full, and at some point seeing, well, we can reduce the number of cards without really calculating. This is also a system, but again, I will tell you, when you have normal inventory positions and you let SAP, Oracle, or whatever planning or enterprise resource software that you use, just drop the inventory levels a little bit, you are basically doing the same thing. So stop using Kanban to calculate, as a basis to calculate your stock levels. That's really not what it does. Make sure that you use it to think about what actually is where we need to reorder, at what point do we need to start streaming and expediting stuff, and how can we make things as easy as possible, because that is the part that gets forgotten a lot in inventory management and inventory optimization. Make it simple for your operators, for your logistic colleagues. Make it that you do not have to think about how you run your factory, but only think about what you're doing, how you're really making the product go, and how you can improve that part of the process. So sometimes you take a bit more stock than would be ideal just to keep the process simple. And here, sometimes you use these cards, and the main reason to do it is so that you do not have to go into your warehouse to count all of the pallets every time, but you have this order board and you can have a whole bunch of them next to each other. So this physical warehouse can be a huge warehouse hall, and instead of having a computer system tell you which pallets are where, and then hopefully you've been scanning them and you know minute to minute what are your stock levels, this whole Kanban system just does it in a visual way. And it makes sure that you cannot easily break the rules. That's the main thing of a Kanban system. If you order too many pallets and at some point you want to place 12 pallets in this system, in the electronic system you can just place the pallets somewhere. But when you don't have the Kanban cards, you're going to see pallets without cards standing around in your factory, and then management has to go in and say, this is a big problem. We need to find out how our systems has failed, how it can be that we ordered more than we have places for. And it's a way to visualize how you work. The same goes for this one, but here it's more about ease of work. This is just the simplest way to replenish your stock, and it makes it so easy for people using it. As long as you remember, and this is where you need the discipline in a Kanban type of inventory management, when you have these cards, no pallet goes without a card, and no card can be somewhere else than on a pallet or in this rack. So you have strict rules. These things are your lifeblood. And here, as soon as you open the box, if you open a new box, you trigger the reordering, whether by putting the card or the box or putting it in your reorder software, but you trigger the reordering as soon as you open box. If people do not do that because they think, I've got some time left, I will do it tomorrow, your system will be messed up and you're getting completely out of control. But that does not make this a stock level calculation system. This is the practical side of inventory management, and a very strong practical side for that. Now, if you like this explanation of what is and is not Kanban, don't forget to hit that like button, and also tell me what other parts of inventory management or whatever lean topic would you like me to go into in the comments. I love to read them, and they're also great inspiration for next videos. For now, I wish you the best of luck in your inventory management, and as always, don't forget to enjoy the lean journey.